We don't like her mom. Her mom used to her like she always wanted to come, but our dad. She always wanted to live with our dad. I was expecting my sister to be dead, but stuff was still seeming alright. I'm like, tell me where you at? Where is you at? Where's you at? She's not telling me. She's like, last time I talked to her, last time I talked to her, she was like, she wanted to come home. So I'm guessing he was holding her hostage.
A tow yard in Hollywood, a strange smell, and a Tesla linked to a rising artist. That's where investigators say they made a discovery that stopped the city cold. A 15-year-old teen, gone for months, located far from home. Overnight, the story exploded. Half facts, half theories. And suddenly, everyone had a timeline, a motive, a thread to pull. We'll separate what's confirmed from what's being whispered online, and we'll keep it respectful. But the detail that set the internet on fire was still ahead. It started with reports of a concerning odor at an impound lot. Workers called it in, officers arrived, and a vehicle tied to a rising singer became the center of everything. The medical examiner later confirmed the individual as a teenager who'd been reported missing more than once. Officially, the cause of death wasn't released when the story first broke, leaving more questions than answers. The public wanted a name, a motive, an instant explanation. Real investigations don't work like that. They run on lab results, interviews, and a chain of custody that stands up in court. And when that silence stretched, the internet filled the gap with theories that would only get louder. As news spread, the focus turned to the artist at the edge of it all. Young, popular, millions of streams, visibility alone made every update trend. Statements online suggested he cooperated with authorities, and remaining shows were canceled after the discovery. That mix of music fame, a sensitive case, and limited official details made the story feel cinematic to outside viewers. But for those involved, this wasn't a movie. It was a police file and a grieving family. The louder social feeds got, the more every lyric, timestamp, and old post looked like a clue, even when it wasn't. And then came the move that pushed curiosity into overdrive. The inquiry shifted where these cases usually go: search warrants, devices, data. A residence in the hills drew attention after officers were seen documenting surfaces and removing electronics. People familiar with crime shows started discussing forensic sprays, the kind that can reveal certain traces even after cleaning, imagining blue halos over floors and drains. Publicly, lab results weren't available. The imagery alone fueled speculation. If a vehicle with something troubling inside was left a short walk away, maybe a nearby home held missing pieces. That's how theories grow. But theories are not evidence, and investigators didn't publicly name a suspect. Still, the next wave didn't wait for paperwork. It came from the timelines of friends, neighbors, and classmates. Online breadcrumbs began piling up. Friends of friends posted screenshots, neighborhood accounts resurfaced, people claiming to know the teen or the artist circle started filling in blanks. Rumors suggested small matching tattoos, a tiny she on the right index finger, plus older photos and flirty posts that looked like warnings in hindsight. None of that came from sworn statements. It was community chatter. The more people scrolled, the more captures appeared, Discord handles, DMs, claims that a teacher saw pickups after school, allegations that the teen's home life was unsteady, and that certain adults failed her long before the headlines. Some said the artist provided money in the friend group to keep things quiet. Others claimed he was frequently seen around her neighborhood, showing up, vanishing, leaving whispers. These remain allegations, not court-tested facts, but the conversation was about to collide with something even more polarizing. His music, clips of a viral breakup track resurfaced and were replayed like confessions. People pointed to a line about someone being gone, to upload dates, to birthdays, to grid posts that seemed to nod at the teen's age. An old demo reportedly using her first name appeared in threads and was analyzed line by line. Here's the sober truth. Art can be dark and dramatic, and often predates events by years. Lyrics can feel predictive once you already know the ending, but that doesn't make them a timeline. Investigators can't swap poetry for proof. They still have to build a case the unromantic way. Device data, location pings, corroborated interviews. Even so, another current was forming. First-hand memories from people who said they spoke to her near the end. Friends of the teen posted their own accounts. They said she was still in contact after leaving home the second time, then suddenly went quiet. Some described late-night calls, deleted accounts, and posts that disappeared after an argument. It read like panic. Others pointed to relationship markers, rings in selfies, small tattoos, matching captions. A sibling spoke up, a neighbor spoke up, classmates spoke up, some voices criticizing adults for looking the other way, some pointing toward the artist. Again, online statements, not official reports. They might become critical leads. They might be misremembered, exaggerated, or incomplete. In early stages, you usually get all three at once, and yet, one specific rumor escalated emotions even further. People debated a show where memorial-style props allegedly appeared, inviting fans to write messages to the departed. In isolation, it looked harsh. In context, it might have been an art concept planned well before the investigation intensified. Without an official explanation, motives get invented online. Some saw taunting, others saw coincidence. Legally, props don't decide anything. What matters is verifiable movement on key dates, access to the vehicle, and any physical or digital evidence linking a person to specific acts. The difference between unsettling and unlawful is proof, which is why detectives keep circling the same ground, looking for the one thread that won't snap. Back at the tow yard, the questions were practical. When exactly was the car dropped? Who towed it and why? Was the vehicle borrowed, loaned, or left by someone in the artist's circle? Cameras matter. Street cams, lot cams, doorbells, anything with a timestamp. Investigators trace the last clean snapshot. Who's on camera, what they're wearing, whether a passenger door opens or a trunk is accessed. Then they compare it to cell site hits, the moment a device stops moving, or pings a different tower. They look for dry cleaner receipts, rideshare logs, transit taps, mundane details that lock people to places. It's dull to watch from the outside, but it's how difficult cases bend. And if a case bends, it's usually because of something small. Smaller than a headline, bigger than a rumor. While the internet argued, a family planned a funeral. That's the quiet, painful part that vanishes in timelines. A child is gone. Friends who once gossiped in hallways now post photos under candle emojis. Teachers who saw two teens flirt after class wonder whether they should have pushed harder, called again, pressed someone who didn't want to be pressed. A huge city feels small when a single story hits this hard. When a young person slips through the safety net, everyone who held a strand wonders whether their grip should have been tighter. And that grief is why the next phase can't rush, because rushing breaks cases. People want accountability now. They want immediate answers and official actions. Who, what, and why. But premature certainty can complicate an inquiry. If the wrong name is amplified too early, witnesses clam up, jurors get tainted, and responsible parties can benefit from doubt. Official quiet can be strategic. Detectives collect phones and laptops because devices remember what people forget. Location pings, Wi-Fi joins, airdrop swaps, late-night notes, auto-save drafts. The truth often hides in boring metadata, not dramatic posts. And if there were failures around the teen, those too will leave a trail, financial, digital, or human. Community posts accused adults of failing her, allowing too much freedom, ignoring warning signs, letting someone older get too close for too long. The anger is understandable. If any of that proves true, people will expect accountability beyond a single name. But even those threads need evidence. If money changed hands, there are transfers. If messages were sent, there are backups. If someone knew and looked away, there are witnesses. None of that is settled by a viral comment. It's settled by sworn statements, documents, and digital trails that don't blink. Which is why the story's next turn won't come from a meme. It'll come from a lab. Fans kept interrogating the music, the moody breakup track, the old demo, the dates, the number 15 showing up in a grid, the line about breaking rules. The darker the theories grew, the more the songs sounded like confessionals. But art is allowed to be dark. Writers use dramatic lines because that's what gets heard. The lyric you shrugged at last year now feels like a siren. The ink didn't change. The reader did. Investigators may log it. Juries rarely decide on it. What moves a case is not a rhyme but a record. So the question becomes, what's truly established and what's just noise? Quick recap. Clear and careful. Confirmed a teen was located at an impound lot inside a vehicle connected to a known artist. The teen was identified by officials. A search warrant gathered electronics. At that time, authorities hadn't publicly named a suspect, and the cause of death wasn't publicly released. Unverified claims about who allowed what, who paid whom, small matching tattoos as definitive proof, screenshots without a verified chain, and interpretations of lyrics or stage props as direct admissions. If any unverified points are real, evidence will surface. If not, repeating them won't make them true. And that leads to the only part any of us can control: how we follow a case like this without causing more harm. It's natural to feel angry and unsettled. A teenager's life ended, and the details are painful. The most helpful thing we can do is separate confirmed updates from speculation, avoid naming uncharged individuals as responsible, and push for credible reporting over viral threads. If you're following this, follow the facts first. If you know something real, dates, places, names, messages, share it with investigators, not just a comment section, because the next chapter won't be written by guesses, it'll be written by timestamps. Here's what likely happens next. Labs process samples in the order they arrive, digital teams image devices and rebuild timelines of texts, calls, location pings. Detectives revisit the same people with new questions that only make sense after the last answers. Breakthroughs often look tiny: a receipt in a bag, a camera no one checked, a pickup tag that puts a truck on a street at the wrong hour. Big breaks are usually built from 100 small ones. When the picture is finally clear, the public hears it all at once and calls it sudden. It wasn't sudden, it was patient. And patience is the part the internet hates most. Before we close, one more reminder: this is an ongoing investigation. We'll learn more when science lands and officials speak. Until then, keep empathy close and certainty on a leash. Respect the family, resist the rush, and remember, online buzz can be loud, but truth arrives with receipts. Rest in peace to the young life at the center of this. And if the full story is coming, as it always does, let it arrive with evidence, not echoes.